Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. It's early May in the garden. It's feeling a little bit like April. In this video, I thought I would share with you some updates as to how the winter sowing seedlings are doing, and then also how the garden is looking at this point in time. So I'm going to flip our camera around and let's take a look. So here you can see most of my seedlings ranging from nothing is growing all the way to lush little seedlings here. So here we have our blue stem goldenrod. So they grew quite quickly and were very tolerant of the cold. I do have some New England aster seedlings further down there. Over here we have our ironweed, which is doing okay. Some common milkweed over here. I left these seedlings outside when it was a little bit too cold, so they did suffer a little bit. So I'm hoping that they'll be okay. Our nighttime temperatures actually are getting quite chilly, so I'm having to bring these seedlings inside. Over here we have some asters of various sizes. So like this one is gigantic compared to something like that, which has barely sprouted. Over on here, on this tray, we have no fringe loosestrife that has sprouted. Mixed results with our hairy woodmint. And then over here we have some world milkweed. So again, our milkweed did suffer a little bit from the cold. This tray here, we have poke milkweed, which actually grew very well, and it didn't get as damaged as the other milkweeds with the cold. I don't know what seedling that is. It doesn't look like milkweed. And then over here, we have some columbine. They have just started to sprout, so you can see like a little seedling there, if I can focus in on it. There's another one over there. So hopefully they'll start to germinate a little bit faster. And then on this side, our other tray, we have more asters. And then we have some purple milkweed. So again, you can see the leaves did get damaged from the cold. So hopefully they do all right. Not the best germination success rate with our purple milkweed, but hopefully those 7 will survive. And then as we look down here, I do have one more tray hiding right there. I have my wild geranium and woodland phlox. So far nothing has germinated, so it's just sitting there right now. And then as we head down, I do have some other seedlings that I winter sowed. These ones I did in open containers. I just put this to keep the squirrels away. So you can see these ones are a little bit behind compared to the ones that had a dome over them. So I do have some native sunflowers there. Joe Pye weed, which is doing quite well, and they're germinating. Not so much happening here minus that for our milkweed. Nothing for our tobacco. We got one, and I think we might actually have another one right there as well for our clematis, and then that's another Joe Pye weed there. So anyways, that's the quick update to those winter sowing seedlings. A mixed success rate so far with how cold our nighttime temperatures are, because they are dipping slightly below 0. I do have to bring some of them in just to make sure that way they don't get too damaged from the cold. Anyways, let's continue on with our little garden tour. A couple updates as to things that are happening. All right, so we are at the front of the house. It's a little bit windy, so hopefully you can hear me okay. So if we start off down here, you can see our primrose has done really well. All of our bluish purple primroses have done a great job at coming back and flowering. So lots of color. Our tete-a-tetes here are almost done. They did quite well, and I'm glad because the flowers are so small, none of the kids have really wanted to pick them all off. So done quite well right up against the sidewalk. I've really enjoyed these grape hyacinths here. Just like 1 or 2 big leaves from those, and then we have a nice little flower. What was interesting though is I do have, and I saw this morning, I have a white grape hyacinth, which I really don't know where that came from. So I'm assuming a gift from a squirrel. So up here are daffodils are finishing up. So our Reynolds early sensation have finished. We just have our mixed daffodils here that are carrying the color into spring. Our Solomon seal is also coming up there. And then pretty much the same thing happening on this side. Very pretty primroses. Some grape hyacinths that were planted. And then our Solomon seal is coming up as well. And you can see one of our last early sensations that are still there. As we move up, our daffodils that were that came with the house are flowering. We have some periwinkle here, which is very nice. It is, again, creeping into the lawn, so I have to take care of that. As you can see, there are little plugs of soil. It's not dog poop. I was aerating our lawn earlier this week just to make sure that we have suitable conditions to sow some grass seed. So there are little plugs everywhere. You can see a really pretty pink primula there. And then more daffodils. We do have one tulip that came back with a flower. The other ones did not, sadly. And then over here we have a native clematis, or I think it's a virgin's bower. So that's going to grow up along our porch there. All right. You can see lots of daffodils still. You can even see here, we have our white Mount Hood daffodils coming in. Our hydrangeas are starting to bud back up as well, which is good to see. And then over here, tete-a-tetes that I planted, weeds that I need to pull up. And then you can see more little soil plugs on the ground. Our Glory of the Snow has finished flowering, so I'm letting it rejuvenate and collect energy for next year. You can see those leaves kind of stand out in the grass a little bit. As we come along this way, our sweet woodruff has little flowers, so that's really exciting. Last year, our sweet woodruff, mostly in those 2 clumps, came back, but I didn't get any flowers, so it'll be nice to see some flowers this year. Jetfire daffodils there, and it keeps on going. Over on this side, you can see some grape hyacinths that have escaped into the lawn, but that's all right. Looks kind of cool. And then over on this side, we have our daffodils. Our Annabelle hydrangeas are slowly coming back. And over on this side, we have our ostrich fern, which is coming back again. Last year it died back fairly early because it was so hot and dry. Hopefully it'll do better. Behind it on the green stick, we have another native clematis, which my goal is to have it grow up and cover this area and maybe a little bit over the fence. we got some May apples coming back, which is good. I can't remember if those were the ones I got from Real Canadian Superstore or the ones from ON Native Plants, but we do have that back there. And then you can see more daffodils. I did plant our bloodroot. I did 18 bloodroot rhizomes. You can see one leaf there that has successfully come back. The sad part was they started sprouting, and as I planted them, the squirrels dug them up. So some of the leaves did get damaged. You can see one of the bloodroot leaves right there. We have some bleeding hearts. Hopefully they'll flower. They came from Bessie last year, and they looked really sad and small. So hopefully something will bloom from them. And again, on our soil, we got more soil plugs. And then here's one of our updates. You can see over here, I lifted our landscape fabric and I got rid of all the cardboard. And you can see a lot of our grass did die back over the winter. You can see some weeds are making a comeback. But I did flip over our soil so that way the weeds can die out. So that way, at some point, I can plant my little pollinator patch here. And then over here you can see my pearly everlastings, and then also some lily of the valley growing up around this corner. So doing very well on this side. All right, so let's head back this way. Oh, and our lawn also has these cute little violets that have come up as well. Right, and into the backyard. Again, close the gate later so you can see our little seedlings up there. There's a cute bird along the fence that you can see hopping. All right, so over on this side, lots of things sprouting. We have daylilies, some daffodils. Sadly, we had a tulip over there that did grow a flower, but something chewed the flower off, and you can see that red little bud there. In our grass, I overseeded our lawn with grass, seeds, and some clover, so I'm hoping it will come up soon. It has been quite chilly, so not a whole lot of stuff has been growing. There are things germinating. I have no idea if that's clover. I don't think it's grass, but I am a little bit worried that they might be weed seeds from the soil that I used. So we'll see what happens with that. We have our peonies here and there. And then over here, our alliums have come back. You can see a flower bud there. Lots of allium leaves. They're really big, and they're actually covering up our lamb's ear. You can see some daffodils that are along the edge there. We have sad-looking tulips. So again, we do have lots of animals that come by. We lost a flower bud there. So we have 2 left. We'll see if they survive and bloom. Last year, when the flower bud started to redden up, I actually cut them and brought them inside, so that way we could enjoy them instead of having them dead on the ground. And then over here, more daffodils. We have our Hub's red maple. The leaves are starting to come out now, and you can see this one here looking pretty. On this side, we have our barberry, which I severely cut back, growing again. We have our tete-a-tete daffodils. Along the edge, they're almost done. And you can see some hostas are coming up there. There's some, if you can see, Solomon seal back there, an iris that I forgot or left in the ground. So that's sprouting. And here is a menagerie of stuff. I'm not sure what's what, so I'm just leaving everything here. I think we have some goldenrod, maybe some purple coneflower. Who knows? But we do have daffodils right there. All right, and before I stand up, we have our winter aconite here that I think is creating some seed pods. So we'll see what happens with that. Very cute. And then before we go and continue on, there is a little patch of Pearly Everlasting that is from the other side of the driveway. So it grew under our fence, seeking a new spot, somewhere a little moister, I guess. We'll see how it does because this area is a little bit shaded because of that barberry. Here we have our service berry starting to flower. You can see some of the petals have already started falling off. Our tete-a-tetes here have almost finished their blooming. I've actually already deadheaded some of them already. You can see our hostas are coming back, some buds there. Our hellebores are also coming back as well. There's one right there. No flowers from that, unfortunately. And then as we continue, you can see some trillium leaves. Really exciting that they came back. And we actually got one to flower right there. Continuing on, you can see we have a lot of weeds growing. I think we have garlic mustard, and we also have a lot of creeping bellflower that I'm trying to pull up. Here is some bee balm, and then our daffodils. So these are our thalia daffodils that I got. Very pretty white flowers. Oops, hopes if I don't crush it. Very pretty white flowers there. They do hang kind of almost like a chandelier, so they do face down. But a nice splattering of white here and there. So you can see some more of those there. We have our butterfly bush back up there. Our Japanese maple, which is starting to leaf out again. Our purple hyacinth, which is finishing up flowering. And then here's another thalia daffodil there. Then as we move over here, my strawberry plant, you can see some flowers happening here. Hopefully we'll get some strawberries. I might create a little chicken wire structure just to keep those berries, so that way maybe we'll have one berry this year. We'll see. My Ito peony has come back quite well. What was interesting was this stalk, or there's actually a couple stalks like this one too. It has budded and continued growing from that stem, which is quite interesting. So Ito peonies are a hybrid between our herbaceous peony, which dies straight back to the ground, and then our tree peony, which is more shrub-like. So interesting to see that happening there. Our purple coneflowers are coming back, and lots of seedlings all over the place. Got some more daffodils there. Here's our other Ito peony. This one gets a little bit more sun. And then our sedum there. And of course, we can't forget our little bird bath, which I think I'll need to clean up at some point, but always nice to hear that running water. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that update. We'll be keeping quite busy with our overseeding of our lawn with clover and grass, and then also that flower bed